Right now it's minus 10. Feels more like minus 17 degrees. I'm Louis Butko. News next at 1 o'clock. The one and only Jim Fannon Show starts now on News Talk 610 CKTB.
This is the Jim Fannon Show on Niagara's News Talk 610. Call now, 905-688-2582, 1-877-610-2582, or text us at 61010.
I should have burned Berlin down, and now the drugs are slowly wearing off, and your smile looks
live from 12 Yates Street.
I give you freedom. You are
On a beautiful sunny day in downtown St. Catharines, March 16th. March 16th, happy birthday to my baby brother. Where he is. My little baby bugger, Billy. Happy birthday, brother. And an early happy St. Paddy's Day to you. Love the Irish. This is the Jim Fannon Show every Sunday here at noon. Look for more local live programming out of the management here at 610 CKTB. Lee Sterry. New show on Saturdays, 10 to 1. Got the Province coming up at 1 o'clock. Ice Dogs at 1:30. In the booth with me today, Mayor McMullan. We'll take your calls, answer some questions. 905-688-2582 are your digits. 1-877-610-CKTB. Pound 610 on the Bell Mobility Network, or you can text straight into the booth. 61010 is the text. JimFannon@gmail.com. You can use that. Listen to us online. Check out the podcast, 610ckTB.com. Tradition we've started here over the last several months. Live, local rock stars playing sub-average bumper music. I say that only because Jesse Reid joins us today. He'll put a couple songs together and then complain about his carpal tunnel after. He's got a gig tonight, 5 o'clock. Did a really interesting new online radio station to promote only Niagara acts. We talked about it a little bit last week with Aaron Berger when the Blue Stars were in. Nathaniel, MJ, and Aaron Berger played live last week. Did a nice job. They're in the middle of a 30-hour, 24-band online music marathon. So you can actually stream it on YouTube, rockourtown.com. Only Niagara connected acts. So I believe if you've got somebody in your band that's got a Niagara connection, they will promote your music. And this online radio station's really cool, rockourtown.com. So Jesse Reid will play some bumper music. We're running till 1 o'clock tonight. Then you'll listen to Hudak for half an hour. And then the Ice Dogs, the last game in the Jack, last regular season game in the Jack is today. And they made the playoffs. Getting the 7th spot, I believe, coming in. Lots happening downtown. Doug Mundy, check this guy out. Talking about local music. Doug Mundy is playing the Mate Cafe today at 3 p.m. His jazz trio. They're doing a little recording as well down there. Local music abounds. Speaking of which, you want to be here next week. Fans of Theater Crisp, check these guys out on YouTube. Another local band, David Cox, is a Canadian tap dancing witch and champion. Dances along with his tap shoes on that acoustic board that he pounds on. They're in studio next week playing live. That's the 23rd. Live local music here on the Jim Fannon Show coming up next. Going to come back with our live musical bumper from Jesse Reid, and then we've got a half an hour with Mayor McMullan right here on the Jim Fannon Show on 610 CKTB.
This is the Jim Fannon Show on Niagara's News Talk 610. Call now, 905-688-2582, 1-877-610-2582, or text us at 61010.
By the scruff of your neck, hung upside down, I heard they check your vitals, your eyes, count your fingers and toes. If you're ugly or not, that's how it goes. Then they send you on home with amateur care. You'll wail and smile and they'll hold you there. Smile right back at your angry little face. Too young yet to fall from grace. Takes a little time to just stand up, to get a little wine out of that cup. Takes a few years to know your place. Too young yet to fall from grace.
Welcome back. I am Jim Fannon. That is the great Jesse T. Reid. Check him out on YouTube. He's got his own website, too. What, get the folk out of here or something? Folk you up? Jesse T. Reid will be on at 12:45. We'll do a short interview with him before he takes the stage at Rock Our Town and Niagara Music Marathon. And joining me today in the booth is the City of St. Catharines Mayor Brian McMullan. Brian, thanks for the time. I know this is traditionally your day off, or what you'd like it to be.
My pleasure.
How much work do you actually do on Sundays?
Well, I'm usually show up at City Hall for part of the day, but and there's often a few events on, which are fun to attend. But no, it's great to be here, and I appreciate the opportunity, Jim.
Oh, it's my pleasure. You were my second guest when I started this scrub show back last July, and kind of worked my way in from a belligerent caller on Tommy's show into somehow a show host, as you well know.
Well, you've done a great job with it, Jim.
I appreciate that. Now, you were my second guest. Rick was my first. Rick Dykstra, obviously. Mm-hmm. I went back and mistakenly listened to that show. I sound like Hal. You were my second guest. I haven't listened to that show, and I didn't listen to much of Rick's because it was too painful, but I do appreciate you making time to come in, and especially, second show, I'm like, hey, Brian, you're like, yeah, I'll be there, so I appreciate your accessibility.
I was happy to. No problem.
Haven't asked you to be on since we were last on the show. Maybe we were on when I covered for Tommy, I guess, but the burning question, obviously, you got to know this is the first one coming. Are you running?
Yeah, I'm. What I've been saying to everybody, Jim, and I'll say the same to you is.
I don't want the same answer you give to everyone else.
Well, sorry, but kind of focusing. A big announcement this past week, as you know, maybe we'll touch on it later, but it was Scicluna, or is Scicluna, something I've worked on for 6.5 years with a lot of people, a lot of cooperation from a lot of people. But that was really important for the city to get that done. I made the announcement with Minister Bradley on Wednesday, so now I can start focusing on what my political future is. I've really been focused on doing the job as mayor and working with council. We just got through budget a few weeks ago, so there's been a lot going on. But I'll give that some attention the next few weeks.
Now, I appreciate that answer, and that's a very political answer, and there's no office that's more political than the mayor. And we'll get into what do you like about politics later. In my mind, you know what you're doing. And I just wonder... No, I mean, I know, in my mind, you know what you're doing as far as your re-election campaign goes. Now, that's just me, and you probably heard this is a small town. I got a big mouth. I always said,
no comment, Jim.
Brian's got, he's got a very complete checklist.
Yeah.
You had some priorities when you came in as mayor, and so publicly I'm saying, well, if your checklist is done, you either got to invent a whole new checklist, but after 2 terms, I
say mission accomplished.
And you get your job in the private sector, or I don't know, but answer me this question then. If you're just going to give me the same political answer that you've given everyone else, I'm not going to tell you yet.
Right.
I mean, first you said January, and now it's March, and then so. But let me ask you, what is it? Why extend the decision making out if you know or you haven't decided? I don't believe you haven't decided, but this has got to be. That's got to be stressful from you from the standpoint that all everyone's doing is chirping all over town. Well, he's been to China. He's obviously looking for work, or he wants Bradley's job, or just ridiculous rumor spreading that really is. You don't have to, and that's got to take a personal toll on you a little bit because no one likes it. Even when they're saying good things, you're like, you're talking about me. Stop it. Yeah. So I wonder why you put yourself in that position of waiting. Because it does put you on the hot seat.
Well, I guess it does, Jim. But as you said, the job sort of is always on the hot seat. But it's a job I love. love. I love our community. You're very involved in the community as mayor, and certainly I have been. So I've really been focused on doing the job as mayor. But the budget was a huge, it takes a fair amount of energy and time. A few announcements. Chacluna, obviously making sure the Spectator facility, the new Meridian Center, as it's called, is coming along. We've got the Performing Arts Center, the Brock School downtown. We've got an awful lot on our plate, probably more than any other council's ever had, and staff obviously working very hard. So I've been pretty focused on doing that, and I put those things first before myself, because I have a bit of time on that. I'm giving it some thought. I'm going to give it some more thought, and I'll make a decision and make an announcement. I guess more important, as you're pointing out, make an announcement. But I've got people that I also listen to, people I respect in the community. They're saying, Brian, in their opinion, you've done a good job. You don't need to rush it either. And so I've been listening to that sort of counsel. And but I'm not going to wait forever. And so that time is to making that decision and making that announcement is sooner rather than later. I'll say that for sure.
Now, tell me, what is it about the job that draws you? I mean, there could be a number of things. It's a powerful position. Obviously, this is the mayor of the biggest city in Niagara. You've got many responsibilities, not only mayor, but you're a position at the region. You're part of city council, all kinds of other things off the grid as far as ceremonial. What is it that draws you? Is it I don't think it's the celebrity. You don't seem like that type of personality. I mean, it does pay pretty well, but most people don't want to be mayor for the money. Right. I mean, because you are on the hot seat. So what is the draw for you? What is the main thing that got you to decide and then stay as mayor?
That's a great question, Jim, because it's been a continuum for me back to, I guess, the fact that I was formerly a city councillor, which I representing Grantham Ward, which I thoroughly enjoyed, is I got to a point in my life, and I came from the private sector, as you know, where I thought things could be better, and so rather than sit back and sort of maybe gripe or comment on it in terms of an armchair quarterback, I had been on city council, but I thought the job where you can most affect change in our community, as much as we appreciate the work of Rick Dykstra and Jim Bradley and so many others, is as mayor. And you're the CEO of the city. If you can, get 7 votes, I call it, you need 7 votes on any Monday night. But if you can obtain the votes you need to pass important pieces of legislation, if you can work cooperatively and collaboratively with staff, which I believe I have, you can get a lot done. And I believe, and it's a collective effort, and I've said that, and I'll keep saying it. But if you look at the past 8 years, I think we can point to that. As you said, a checklist. Pretty much everything on that checklist, and you're pretty informed, Jim, has been accomplished. That's not by happen chance. It takes a lot of work and a lot of effort by a lot of people. But I'm part of that, and I feel very proud of that. And it's a great community. I love, actually, it may sound rote, but I actually love the city. And what I have learned a lot is being involved. We've got a lot of decent people out there, people that you and I may not know their name, or I've got to meet them through the office of mayor. But it's a great community. It's really a great community because of the people of the city, and it's been a privilege to serve them.
And I've been quick to give you props. I think, I was a bigger fan maybe in the beginning. I know I've said this to you as a neophyte. You're new, you're fresh, you don't have the puppet master political skills as you do as you a couple terms in, and I think you've used them smartly to your advantage. But talk to me, and I've given you props. Downtown St. Catharines is not solely on the back of the mayor. Right. We've got a number of different agencies and councils and things that have contributed to the health of it now, I think, compared to what it was 5 years ago when I was taking a physical survey down there, a 50% vacancy rate. So now you're hard-pressed to find a vacant building downtown.
Correct.
Margie Spence is investing money. She's moving a commercial real estate down there. We've got multiple residential programs that you've announced and probably will be announcing before your term's up even.
Correct.
2 huge infrastructure keys. So outside of that, we know what you've done, and I've been quick to give you props for that. What do you think you've brought to the political environment or the political process that's been a positive contribution as mayor or as a regional councillor or, to the city of St. Catharines Council Chambers? Can you point to anything that you're proud of that you brought before that changes the environment, which is up and down sometimes? I mean, it's easy from the public to sit here and go, oh, there's too many politicians, they get too much money, they don't speak for the people. But I wonder if, I put you on the spot a little bit about something that you've brought to the political environment or structure that you're proud of.
2 things that quickly come to mind, Jim. One I'm very proud of is I've had an open door policy as mayor. Literally anyone in the city, if they call my office to see me, to see the mayor, as it's called, to use that phrase, they'll see me, and I'm very proud of that. Doesn't matter who they are in terms of an individual, I'm happy to see them and try to help them. So I brought, I think, that open door policy. And I've had people say that. We've heard if we call, we will get to see you personally.
If I can get lunch with the mayor, I think just about anybody can. And you've taken my lunch date over the last couple terms at least 3 times.
Yeah, right.
And I've learned my lesson.
Yeah.
Not downstairs at the Mermaid where everyone gets a piece of you. It's a closed door session upstairs at the club where no one can get a piece of you except me.
More private,
so
right?
I appreciate that. And I don't think I'm anyone special, so I do appreciate that. What your second point?
There's that, and then the other point is I think a civility at council. You are, call it quarterback, you're head of council, team leader, and I think I've brought a civility to the council chambers, both for the public and for council. We've been able to get a lot done. I mean, it's been unique. 11 of the 13 members of council are the same from the previous term. I think that's a vote of support in terms of what we were able to accomplish. But we work well with staff. Many people say we have the best senior management team ever in the history of the city. Along with council, the mayor has a role in building that team. So it's that professionalism and civility at City Hall that I think has been important. And working, quite frankly, with our local members, both provincially and federally. We've got a lot done. Working with Rick Dykstra and Jim Bradley, I'm proud of that. And that was a collaborative effort. And some of the funding, as you know, Jim, that doesn't happen by by happen chance, to use that phrase. It takes a lot of work, a lot of cooperation. And again, as you sort of pointed out earlier, we have the results to show for it.
No, you're speaking also about some returning council members, and we have yet to find out who's rerunning. We've had some people say they're in or they're out. Jeff Birch, obviously, like yourself, very political. Peter Secord, not so political. He's already in. But talk to me about, has term limits ever come up? Is that something you consider at the region for chair, crying out loud, we got some local business councils here where guys have been on the board for decades. And I don't know if, the experience might be good. Too much fresh blood, maybe not a good thing either. But have you ever considered term limits, or is that something that happens much at the municipal level?
I think, it would have to be imposed by the province, obviously, Jim. So really, we could talk about it locally, but we really can't affect the change. So I think if you have term limits, they're self-imposed. And I have a philosophy around that. I think you can hold public office too long in any position, not just locally, but federally and provincially as well. That's a personal belief, but ultimately those changes in terms of legislation would have to be made provincially.
Mayor McMullan is my guest. Jesse Reid's playing live bumper music on the way back. We will take your calls. A couple callers on the phone right now. We will get to your calls after this break with Mayor McMullan right here on 610 CKTB.
Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth.
This is the Jim Fannon Show on Niagara's News Talk 610. Call now, 905-688-2582, 1-877-610-2582, or text us at 61010.
She could swear, she could scream, she could scuffle and fight. She could outdrink the boys on Saturday night. She could whistle with her fingers inside of her mouth. Hold my hand from the floor while I sleep on the couch. She could wink, she could stare, she could stop your heart cold. She could make you feel young and then make you feel old. But it don't make no difference which one you see. 'Cause all of those girls that belong to me.
Welcome back. I am Jim Fannon. That is the great Jesse T. Reid. Have him at next segment, 12:45, talking about Rock Our Town website and the Niagara Music Marathon. In the booth with me today, the City of St. Catharines, Mayor McMullan. Brian McMullan is with me again. Thank you very much for the time, Brian. We're going to go to a caller. Jim. Joe in St. Catharines, you're on with the Mayor of St. Catharines. Go.
Good day to you, sir.
Hey, Good Joe. Day, my friend.
Good day, my mayor. It's Joe Pizzatti.
Hey, Joe. I know you, Joe. How you doing?
Fine, sir.
Good.
May I have 30 seconds?
You got all the time you want, Joe. Shoot.
With the Winter Olympics upon us, where athletes jump and skate, with my November prediction, our mayor is at the gate. I judged his deeds, and not by words. Results are what I've seen. His dream did not take him anywhere. It's where he took his dream. With power from his landslide win, our future is his prize. I see our city's new dedicated horizon, conquering St. Catherine's skies. With his wide-eyed smile at the podium, he thanks his public among others. And for his close, my words I chose. The biggest stride we'll ever take is toward each other.
Nice.
Joe, well done.
Joe, tough to follow.
Where did that come from, Joe?
I write, sir. I write poetry.
Yeah.
So how long you been working on this?
4 hours.
Wow. Well, thanks for the contribution.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it. Do you have a question to Mayor McMullan?
No, sir. I'm just waiting for him to win the election by 10,000 votes.
Thanks so much, Joe. And I remember being in your at your place when you did my first signs, and it meant a lot to me. But I tell you, I wouldn't mind if I could put a shameless plug in. If you could ever get me a copy of that, I would be honored to have it. But I appreciate you taking the time to do that.
Thanks.
Oh, sorry, Joe. Thank you very much for taking the time to call and with your contribution to the show. That's awesome. Brian, talk to me a little bit about zero-based budgeting. It sounds like this pie-in-the-sky kind of thing. You know, you're not getting the budget that you had last year. Right. You have to account for every line going forward. Now, I'm not sure if we've brought that in municipally or you can do it department by department. It sounds like a big job just to do it citywide right off the bat, but talk to me a little bit about the idea of zero-based budgeting.
The concept, Jim, is, as you pointed out, is you start from scratch, that you don't assume anything. You review every program, you review every expenditure, and we did bring that in starting in the first term. It takes a few years to implement, but if you talk to Shelley Chemnitz, our Director of Financial Management, and our Treasurer, that's what they do internally. So it is a practice we brought in under Colin Briggs as well as the CAO. It's
How
more
many
of an
departments
internal.
were you actually able to convert?
Well, we've finally done them all. Where basically they start working on the budget. We start as a council in December. They start staff, as in they start in August, September. Okay. And so what the mission is to direct every department head to say, don't assume anything. Start from scratch. Look at all of your line by line items, all of your expenditures, and justify it. Make sure that not just adding 1 or 2% for inflation, but is that expenditure necessary? Is it right? Should it be 10% higher? Should it be 15% higher? The snow budget would be a good example this year. Adding inflation isn't going to cut it this year, but other years it's more than you need, and so it's a matter of going through line by line, and that discipline's been brought into the budget system. The fact that we're adding all these new amenities, all these new facilities, and keeping it basically at the rate of inflation for the past 8 years, I think that's impressive. And again, it's a team effort. It's a lot of work by staff, quite frankly, as I said, and we're building a new capacity, funding a performing arts center, funding a spectator facility, the Meridian Center, with the same kind of tax increases or less than the previous 10 years, in other words. So that's not just by happen chance, as I said earlier. It's been a lot of effort and a lot of good planning, and zero-based budgeting has been part of that.
Now, what was our contribution municipally for the Performing Arts Center?
We're on that one, it's a third federal, a third provincial, a third municipal.
Okay. And talk to me a little bit about the way the taxes are going to hit us. I don't understand everything. I hear debentures thrown around. So I understand that, we didn't pay for the Puck Palace. I hate that term. The Meridian Center and the Performing Arts Center, just bang, boom. It doesn't go on our taxes all at once. I know other communities have kind of, I think Windsor is an example. So they build up the reserves and then they pay for it in cash. Right. Talk to me a little bit about the tax burden that is facing us in the next couple budgets and how that might affect us. I know we've gone to the hydro dividends here and there. It's kind of like borrowing from your own income type of thing as far as keeping taxes lower. We would have had to raise taxes without going to the dividend there. That might not be available at all. Obviously, we got Shikluna coming on. But talk to me about the next couple terms, maybe, as far as the debentures that will come in for the new spectator facility, the Meridian Center, and the Performing Arts Center, and how that might affect us locally on our taxes.
Well, basically, Jim, two things. You plan for that, so we have to do a 10-year projection of capital expenditures and the impact on the budget. That's done every year, so it's a rolling 10-year average. It's been factored in, so we call it building capacity. We've built capacity already for the spectator facility and for the Performing Arts Center. Some of that is in the budget last year a little bit and more this year, so that you don't get the big hit, as you're pointing out, in 1 year. And so by and large, I mean, we all know this is actually the lowest borrowing cost ever in the history, not of just the city, but of the region of Ontario in terms of borrowing for major capital expenditures. It's the best rate we've ever gotten in since you've been tracking these rates, which is about 75 years. So if you're buying a house, not too many people pay cash for a house. It's the same concept, especially with your background, Jim. You'd appreciate that. I don't know. Maybe people do. I'm fortunate if they can, but nobody that I know has paid cash for a house or a building, if it's a commercial building or a factory. And so it's prudent to borrow for an asset. We're not borrowing to go into debt in the sense that it's backed by an asset, one that is good value for the community, and we'll pay that off over a period of time. Usually it's a 20 or 30-year debenture, and once that's paid off, the facility's debt-free. Both the Performing Arts Center and the New Meridian Center will serve this community likely for 75 to 100 years. There's good value there, and we're confident of that, and we're just making sure we approach it in a very business-like fashion.
How do you balance the debt repayment with, keeping taxes low? Obviously, a heavy senior community here. We constantly hear another announcement the other day: natural gas prices going up. Well, this station was saying almost doubling. I think that's 40% increase is crazy, and not that it things go up and down. We don't give the bank a lot of props when our interest rates are low, and that's why you're borrowing money. But tell me how you balance, and do you think we're on the right track as far as debt repayment versus keeping taxes low, and how do you balance that? We got some serious debt repayment priorities for the future, and that's going to hurt us in the pocketbook in the end. It's
a great question, Jim, and actually it's manageable. We're still under the 10% mark. The province allows 25% in terms of total debt to sort of equity, and we're only at 10%, and we don't project going above that. But to your point, you mentioned Chacluna, a way to generate revenue that's not on the back of the taxpayer, that will generate profits for the city for literally decades to come. Very exciting project that we've worked very hard at. But in terms of also balancing, we've come up with this budget committee under Councillor Birch has brought forward recommendations for $2 million per year savings starting next year under our new CAO, Dan Carnegie. So we're actually already planning for the future to be responsible in terms of the taxpayer and limit the impact. And I think we've done that. When you talk $2 million a year, you're talking about 1.5%. And that's each and every year we're talking about savings for the city through attrition and through changes in how we provide some of our services. So we're already looking 2 and 3 years ahead, which again is just good business. And I think the taxpayer will be pleased with the results in the long term. And I mentioned Chacluna again, a couple $1 million a year profit from now till as long as you and I will be around. That also offsets any potential future tax increases.
Do you think there's going to be a springtime budget? Election.
Yep.
Do you think the NDP will pull the plug on this provincial government?
Who knows, Jim? But I'm thinking not. Meaning probably a month ago I would have given it higher odds. But Liberals and NDP. I mean, the polls show it's a three-way race. It's virtually a dead heat between all three parties. So there's not a lot of motivation there. And I won't be surprised if Liberals and NDP come together on the budget to allow this parliament to move forward, and we'll all wait to see. But I'm not betting on it right now.
Your take on what I think is the most important piece to the puzzle right now, moving forward, getting our taxes down for real estate values, which St. Catharines, one of the better values or prices, should I say, in the Niagara region. Obviously, you go closer to Fort Erie, the prices aren't as rich. So if we use St. Catharines as a market, probably real estate values for me, GO train. I mean, I think that's the biggest missing piece to the puzzle, or missing puzzle to the piece, I'm not sure,
I agree.
that we need here. I mean, Bradley, God bless him, he's just, he was Minister of Transportation at one point and couldn't get it done. What do you see that as the big piece to the puzzle that I see it as? And if so, what the hell have we been doing all this time, talking about it and not getting anything done?
Well, actually, we're getting something done, Jim, but it's a great question because literally this week I chaired a meeting at City Hall involving 5 municipalities, 5 mayors, 5 CAOs. We've using some support from a private sector firm in terms of some of the logistics, and the regional chair was there, Chair Burrows. We're working hard on GO Rail, what's called GO Rail commuter service. I will put a plug in for Bradley in the sense that a precursor to the rail is the bus, and the bus was brought in under Jim Bradley, meaning when he was Minister of Transportation. Okay. So both for Grimsby, St. Catharines, and Niagara Falls. But you're right. For me right now, and I've been hitting it hard, GO Rail commuter service is a top priority, probably number one. And again, I just chaired a meeting this week at City Hall. We're going to all three parties, saying we want to know their position, we want to know the leader's position, and whenever there's an election, we know it's likely probably in the next 6 to 12 months, then I expect to have some answers on that, and we're looking for a yes. It may be a year or 2 or 3 years out, but we know, as you said, Jim, the private sector will follow. If they announce it's coming, I'll pick in 2 years' time, we'll see a lot of new investment in St. Catharines and the Niagara region. Will benefit all of Niagara, and I don't think no is an acceptable answer. We just have to find a way to get it done. Just on the way out, I know this is not a simple question. We've got some great infrastructure happening now. It'll be completed soon. We've seen some life downtown, but it's arenas and performing arts centers don't save broken downtowns. So what do we do moving forward to sustain a little bit of success down there? I mean, even now, I don't see the Mansion House or local bars packed after Ice Dogs games. People are leaving downtown. They're getting out of there. Performing arts center, probably the same thing. So now that we've got these key pieces of infrastructure, how do we sustain the health of downtown moving forward? Yeah, well, you pointed out, Jim, downtowns have changed in terms of the retail environment. So it's specialty shops, it's restaurants, it's some of the administration that we have downtown, private sector, commercial buildings, etc., along with City Hall and the police. But I think you'll find the type of entertainment change. Two things. Brock has been a successful performing arts center at Brock, but you park in the parking lot, you walk in, pick in a cold winter's night, and you walk back to your car. It'll be a different environment having it downtown in conjunction with the Marilyn I. Walker School. But the spectator facility, Meridian Center, as we're calling it, is a very generous donation by Meridian. Indeed. It'll be not just Ice Dogs games. There'll be a lot of, I'll throw a name out there. One of the names I know that we've talked about locally in terms of who they're speaking to is the Dixie Chicks. You bring a
Mice on the Hurricane, did you say? Dixie Chicks. Who's that? Dixie Chicks. Some American political weirdos?
It might be green, but you'll get some big names, and with that will come people that want to come out for dinner beforehand, want to stay after the show, let the traffic dissipate. Again, the key is where we're building those facilities. You have to get out of your car for 5 or 10 minutes. It's what you do in Toronto. It's what you do in other major cities. It's the environment we're creating here in downtown St. Catharines and the Niagara region, and I'm confident it will work.
Brian, I really appreciate your time.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you, sir.
My pleasure.
That is Mayor McMullan. Generous enough to come in on his day off, which should be his day off anyways. It's twice now. Jesse Reid's going to come in, talk to us a little bit about Rock, Our Town, and the 30-hour, 24-band music marathon that's going on right now, live on YouTube. More with Jesse Reid right here on the Jim Fannon Show on 610 CKTB.
Bags of the best flying away. We had 2 million barrels of stone.
This is the Jim Fannon Show on Niagara's News Talk 610. Call now, 905-688-2582, 1-877-610-2582, or text us at 61010.
Then we passed the time of day when questioned on his views, and a curse of life, so that's the way he had the needs to clear. A simple words to say, I am going, any which way the wind may be blowing. I am going, where streams of whiskey are flowing. My old curse, let him soar.
Happy St. Paddy's Day. An early happy St. Paddy's Day to you. David Jones is running the board, not well, but he is doing a half-decent job.
Hey, I'm an 8th Irish.
Anytime we get him into the show, anytime he speaks, the union has to pay him a premium, right, Jonesy?
That'd be nice.
No, there's no union. David Jones running the show for sure. I'm just your summer scrub, your Sunday scrub here with Jesse T. Reid, who's doing live bumpers. Jesse, I really appreciate for you making the time to come in on Sunday. You got another gig coming up later on.
Yeah, I'm playing at 5 o'clock at this music marathon for Rock Our Town.
No, where are they doing this out of?
It's a studio on Epworth Circle in Niagara Falls.
Oh, so they're doing it in studio? Because I'm hearing some applause in the background, too.
Yep.
So they got a small studio audience, or is that just the roadies clapping?
It's a pretty big studio. Apparently, I've never been in there, but I heard that they can fit quite a few people in there.
Yeah.
So it's $10 at the door to come in, stay as long as you want.
Oh, really?
Listen to lots of people. There's lots of great acts playing today.
Huh. Again, what's the studio called?
I don't even know the name of the studio. But I know
I
it's
had
at
it last week. Aaron Berger was talking to us about it.
Yeah, see, he knows more. He helped organize it, so he knows a lot more about it. I just
Rock
know.
Our Town is the website.
Yeah,
they're streaming
rockourtown.com.
live from there and somehow through YouTube. I didn't know you could stream on YouTube.
Yeah, no, I've watched a lot of great shows live on YouTube.
Really?
Like even Austin City Limits has streamed live shows on YouTube before.
Oh, we got to look at that for this show.
Yeah.
Behind the scenes, a simulcast. I've often said, hey, why not? Stern does it. It's
Matchy's got nothing on you.
People want to see behind the scenes during commercials, see what we're up to, see what you're saying. That'd be so cool. I didn't know you could do it on YouTube. So great. Aaron Berger, I saw, was just coming up at 30 hours, 24 bands, and broadcast by this Niagara specialty channel on the web.
Yeah,
Rock Our
basically
Town.
streaming radio that's all Niagara-based music.
Nice. What time are you going on?
I'm on at 5.
5 o'clock?
And Black Flies are on right before me.
Oh, really?
Actually, yeah.
Nice talent. They can come in the booth. Actually, it's been a steady stream of you local guys. Aaron Berger was in a couple of weeks ago. Nicely done.
Yeah, no, it's great to be on the air.
What else are you doing these days?
Working.
Political?
Writing. Nothing political.
You're not doing any interviews these days?
No.
I mean, when Paul was away, I think McConnell tapped you a couple times to come in and talk Russian politics and Sea Shepherd and Greenpeace and stuff like that.
He got sprung from the clink, so...
Yeah, he came on the show. Thanks for
My
lining
on-air
that up.
presence has diminished quite a lot since then.
What are you working on?
Just writing songs.
Yep. New album coming out?
Hoping to. It's a monetary issue for the most part. It takes a lot of money to put a record together.
Yeah, Black Flies, I think they said cost them $5,000 to put out their last album. That sounded pretty cheap.
And that's on the low end, yeah.
It is, eh?
Yeah. The last few I've done with friends of mine that had a studio, so I was able to do it, as cheaply as I could. Knowing so many great artists around here too, it's easy to get guys to come and sit in for studio sessions, rather than like if you went to Toronto and had to get studio musicians in and you're paying for the time and the space. It's just you're running up over $10,000 probably. Yeah, for like a 12-song record.
Yeah. Now you got to get me your media out. You didn't do that last time we talked. I came out to see you guys play live down there at the Mate Cafe, and you're like, "I will send you my media files by email." I'm still waiting on that email. I'm shaming you publicly.
Oh man.
How many albums you got out now?
I got 3 out. One's sort of out of print right now until I get more copies pressed.
So you got enough material for a fourth?
They're all available on iTunes, though.
Okay. And you got enough material for a 4th album now?
Yeah. Oh, no, definitely I do. It's just a matter of fine-tuning it. I haven't played much of it live. It's kind of still in the works, trying to feel out, choruses and whether I'm happy with all the lyrics and stuff. I don't like to put anything out that, I sort of cringe when I hear the lyric back to myself.
Right.
So a lot of stuff just sits in the notebooks forever until I can find something that is a better rhyme.
Start second-guessing yourself.
Yeah, for sure.
Jesse Reid is my guest. My thanks to Brian McMullan today for coming in and providing us access for a couple segments. Jesse Reid will be performing at rockourtown.com. You can check that out online. We're streaming on YouTube. Jesse, thanks, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having me on. And rockourtown.com.
You got any other gigs coming up we need to know about?
Nothing right now.
Who are you working with? Who's your session studio musicians?
I play mostly. I've been playing a lot over the years with Roger Marin.
Right.
So he plays pedal steel, but he produced my last 2 records. But I've sort of been in a sort of musical self-imposed exile. For a while. I haven't played many shows.
You used to be a regular caller on Tom McConnell's show, too. I think you disappeared from that radio
Yeah, that was a few years ago. Now
I thought you were dead. Last time you were on the show, I'm like, oh, good to see you, Jess. I thought you were gone. Left the planet.
I can't even, where I work now, I can't even get the station.
Oh, I see.
Unless
it's an
I
access
listen to
issue.
it online. But I don't really have a computer to listen to it online.
No, I know you're pretty political. You've got to take on just about everything political.
Here we go.
What's your thoughts on how do we kind of foster this culture of artists and musicians and kind of give them a hand up? Help them out a little bit and give them a little bit more showcase. Speaking of that, as my son the Hurricane plays on the way out, thank you to Jonesy.
Our grant system is great in Canada, but I wish it was a little more accessible. It's really, really tough to get grants that are worth a decent amount of money to go record. For example, Sarah Beatty was in here last time I was here, and she did get a grant. And
nice.
So she's putting it right towards recording, but you got to write proposal after proposal, and it's not an easy thing to do. but it's good that it's there.
So streamlining it or getting people a little bit more help. I mean, I guess Sarah Bita could coach you on how
Absolutely.
to do it now.
That's the thing. There's people out there that are basically professional grant proposal writers.
Right.
You know, it's not like I can just like jump online, type an email, and then sit back and hope that I get a $25,000 grant factor, you know?
He's Jesse Reid. Thank you very much, Jesse. Thank you to Brian McMullan today for coming in, giving us access. Thanks to David Jones for running the board. And no thanks to Tim Hubedak, who's coming up next on The Province. You'll catch him for a half an hour. Mega props. Ted Lehman came in the booth, booted me in the ass while McMullan was sitting here in the chair. Scared the hell out of me. Ted Lehman will be calling your pregame, endgame, starting at 1:30 right here on 610 CKTB. I'm out.
On the radio, chat with my wife about kids and taxes, reminding myself to wear a jacket. It's cold outside. And other preservatives, old's not so bad when you consider the alternative. And if you're still not saying my name right, let me better explain myself. I gotta ride